Hey everyone. Yeah, thought I'd give you some WWE and TNA news for this Saturday, January 25th, 2014, a day away from the Royal Rumble. Now, there's been a lot of speculation as to the future of TNA and everything, and I myself have been very vocal about TNA needing to shape up or they're going to be shipping out by the time 2015 comes around. Well, it seems that they are going to be shaping up, well, at least for the next few months. According to several websites like lordsofpain.net here, according to several websites like lordsofpain.net, it states, and you can find this, I think, at PW Insider. I think you can find this at Wrestling News World, Wrestling News Source, SES Scoops, a bunch out there. But basically, according to this report yesterday, and this was at 8:48 p.m. I'm not sure if that's Eastern or Pacific time, but at 8:48 p.m. Eastern or Pacific, I don't really know. It states that TNA, and this is what the article says. This is by Mark Middleton at lordsofpain.net. And this is what the article states, and I quote: TNA has figured out their post-lockdown Impact Wrestling tapings situation and will be returning to Universal Studios in Orlando that week. They announced the following dates today, which was yesterday. And those following dates are Live Impact, March 13th. Impact tapings, March 14th and 15th. Let me repeat that. March 13th is a Live Impact. The following 2 days, March 14th and 15th, are Impact tapings. April 10th, Live Impact. April 11th and 12th, Impact tapings. April 26th, one night only taping. April 27th, TNA pay-per-view event. I'll talk about that in a minute. April 28th and 29th, Impact tapings. May 7th, 8th, and 9th, Impact taping, Impact taping, Impact taping. So that is the schedule up to about mid-May, from basically early mid-March to early mid-May. They have Universal Studios locked down for Impact. Now the article goes on to say, and I quote, TNA says more news on their relationship with Universal will be announced soon. There is no word yet on what the April 27th pay-per-view is, but that is a Sunday night. So, here's the question. What is that pay-per-view? And it is a Sunday night. But here's what's funny. Here's what's funny about that. Doesn't WWE have something planned maybe that night? Well, we'll check that. We'll talk about that in a minute. But as far as this goes, this is good. This is good, despite how you feel about it. This is good news for TNA right now. And as we have said before, this does give them time to probably renegotiate certain deals with Universal. Maybe book certain live events at venues and all that when they can. So it gives them that. It gives them that kind of open door, that where they can do all these impacts, one night only, and pay-per-view events up till, like I said, early to mid-May. And while that's going on, it gives them time. It gives them time to not only renegotiate continuation with Universal, which may be the announcement coming soon, but it also allows them to go out and book several venues, if you will, to for an on the road impact, if you will, to basically take impact on the road every now and then. It gives them that open door. So this is positive, but this is what I'm talking about. This is the positiveness they need to start heading towards. This is the positive direction they need to start heading towards, if you will. They need to start heading towards this positive direction. And not only do they need to start heading towards this positive direction, they need to keep going in this direction. They do not need to fall back. They do not. Now, I will admit that the only negative thing about this is a majority of the audience at that impact zone, wherever it's going to be, whether it's going to be in the soundstage they were recently in, or it's going to be in a different soundstage. The fact of the matter is this: TNA, the only negative thing about being back at Universal is the crowd. Now, I do understand and respect that a majority of the crowd there are tourists, are park visitors, and really don't like wrestling that much, or even if they do, they're just occasional fans, just like occasional watchers. So, I can understand how fans would feel about the fact that about that being the only negative aspect. Well, here's what I do if I'm TNA. Not only do I work this deal out with Universal, which I have, or which they have. Not only do I work this deal out, but I add on as part of the agreement that they should be allowed to at least charge maybe $5 to $10 for a ticket to go inside the impact zone. $5 to $10. That way you could definitely separate the wrestling fans from the park visitors. That's just my opinion. That's what I would do if I'm Universal. Not Universal, but TNA. That's what I would do if I was TNA, if I was Impact Wrestling. That's just my opinion. But this is, like I say, a step in the right and positive direction, a direction they need to keep going in from now on. Now, as far as the pay-per-view that's going to be on April 29th, some people are already speculating that is going to be Destination X. They're already speculating that. They're already speculating that it's going to be Destination X, and basically an X Division themed pay-per-view, or supposed to be an X Division themed pay-per-view. That's what they're thinking. Not saying it's going to happen, not saying it will happen, but that's what they're thinking. That's what they're thinking. So, all right. Well, it seems April 27th, as far as pay-per-view goes, is a good slot for them anyway, because Extreme Rules will be coming out. The month after. A week after. So that works out well for TNA, but still, Destination X is indeed the pay-per-view people are thinking and already assuming is going to be the April 27th pay-per-view at Universal, at whatever soundstage they're going to be in. That's the one. So again, this is a positive step for TNA, but it's a step in the positive. But it's a positive step that they need to keep going in. It's a direction they need to keep going in, because if they take 2 steps backwards for one huge step forward, one huge step or one medium-sized step forward, if they take 2 steps backwards, it's going to hurt them. Now, a lot of people always wonder. Now, I know a lot of people will say, well, why would TNA want to go back to Universal? Why would they want to be in front of a crowd of where basically like 75%, if not 60% of the crowd are tourists, and 40% or 25% or 30% of the other half of the crowd are wrestling fans. Real simple. Financially, it works out for them. That way they can get all the tapings they need, all the shows they need in the can and ready to go for the next few weeks. And it gives them that opportunity to kind of save up as much money as they can and try to build the financial status back up. Now, I know some of you might say, well, Brian, they do house shows and all that. Yes, they do house shows, and lately live events, house shows, attendance-wise, depending on the venue, have either been good or they've been bad. You know, you take a look at TNA's recent attendance at the Mobile Civic Center in Mobile, Alabama. You take a look at the recent attendance there. That's a venue that holds about 3,000 to 10,000 people. And what did they draw, according to some people? According to one person that obviously out of boredom counted every single person there, including themselves. What was the attendance that they drew for that? 150. Why? Well, one, obviously the promoting wasn't good, and some people didn't even know there was an event there. But it also depends on what part of the venue they used. Did they use theater? Did they use the hall? What did they use? The point is, this is hopefully a step in the right direction, in a positive direction that TNA needs to keep going in. If they take 2, maybe 3 steps back, it's going to hurt them. So, hopefully, this is a step in the right direction. Hopefully. Now, as far as WWE goes, and speaking of Universal, we all know that in the next few weeks, there's going to be a lot of negotiating, a lot of talks, a lot of dealings taking place as far as television shows go, and stuff like that, properties that could be put on television, shows, switching networks and stuff like that. We all know that a lot of these deals and stuff, a lot of these discussions and deals and negotiations are going to be coming up in the next few weeks. Well, apparently, according to some sources, WWE is one of the hottest properties out there going into this. And that WWE, pretty much, according to some, have set themselves up to be the hot potato, not the hot potato, but to be that jackpot, or one of those big lottery jackpots for a network to score, to win. A cable company to score and win the rights to. Now, obviously NBC Universal, Comcast if you will, NBC Comcast Universal obviously does not want to lose WWE. So basically, according to rumors and reports, one of the ways NBCU is going to try to keep WWE on their networks, on their cable channels, one of the ways they're going to do it is by having a physical Hall of Fame take place, a physical Hall of Fame built. Is going to have by having and building, or at least renting out or buying, or basically creating and funding, or basically the way NBCU wants to keep the WWE as part of their cable channels and networks, is to create or at least establish a physical WWE Hall of Fame. That is the plan. And what's ironic about this plan is they want this physical Hall of Fame to be at Universal Studios in Orlando. Yeah. the same place TNA is the same place that TNA for the next in the next 2 months, if you will, is going to be taping about 2 months worth of about a month and a half, if not 2 months worth of TNA programming from live impacts, impact tapings, one night only pay-per-view event on a Sunday night, which is possibly Destination X, and so on to about the 9th of May. And then on top of that, like I mentioned earlier, you have TNA saying that they're going to announce more about the relationship and negotiations with Universal Studios. So with that in mind, basically, this is a very interesting newsworthy item, because here you have WWE, which is probably the hottest property right now as far as cable companies and television networks go, the hottest property there is, due to the fact that it's WrestleMania season, due to the fact that tomorrow's the Royal Rumble, and like I said, it's also the start of WrestleMania season, due to the fact on February 24th, at the end of Raw, is the launch of the WWE Network, which obviously a lot of fans, including myself, are going to get. You know, on top of all that, WWE has positioned itself, as according to a lot of sources, as a hot property that a lot of cable companies, channels, and networks would like to get their hands on. So basically, the way NBCU plans to do this is they plan to try to work something out that allows some kind of property, some kind of some building, but it'll basically allow them to build or occupy one of the buildings, or maybe physically build, or like I say, start physically occupying one of the empty spaces or empty buildings on the lot for a physical Hall of Fame for the WWE. That way, not only would it be an attraction for not only would it be an additional attraction for a lot of Universal Studio guests, but it would also be an attraction for a lot of wrestling fans. And this is kind of smart on Universal's part. You got to admit this. They realize there's a lot of wrestling fans that will flock down to Orlando, Florida, to want to walk. That are WWE fans. They're going to want to walk in to that physical Hall of Fame for the first time in their lives and see all the memorabilia from all 50-plus years of the WWE. They're going to want to stand next to that Andre the Giant statue. They're going to want to put their hands in that little handprint thing of Andre's, where to kind of see the difference in size, kind of see that size difference between Andre's hands and their hands. They're going to want to probably get a good look at the first WWF championship. Things like that. They're going to want to see all this. And Universal Studios, it's smart on their part because they know fans are going to want to come down there. Not just tourists, not just regular park visitors, but wrestling fans. Now, again, this is interesting because when they make these negotiations, when they talk things over in the next few weeks, what's interesting about this is a month after this is all said and done, and I mean a month, because they're going to have a month between the time the negotiations and the talks and the deals start up to basically in March, around the midsection of March, when exactly, believe it or not, negotiations and deals for all these networks and stuff changing or staying around and all that is supposed to be finalized. What's funny about this is around that week in March where everything's supposed to be signed off and done and it's all set in stone and ready for the fall and ready for this upcoming fall. What's funny about this is that's the same week TNA starts taping, broadcasting, taping, and all their Impact stuff, all their TNA related stuff. So it's going to be interesting to see how this works out. Speaking of TNA again, going back to them, apparently there's rumors going around that people are going to be have that two people have arrived in TNA and there are two people now in TNA that every wrestling fan might know of. One has arrived, is going to be supposedly arriving and debuting for the company in Glasgow, Scotland this upcoming week. The last time he was with them, he obviously used his real name or something like that, but that was just as a jobber or something. And then the other one is an essential and the other one was a essential piece in the creative process as well, if not the booking. Basically, according to some reports, MVP, whether he's going to debut as MVP, as Mantell, as VIP, who knows. But MVP is supposed to debut with TNA in Glasgow, Scotland. Now, people are denying, even MVP is denying that's not true. But nowadays, we pretty much know that a lot of the wrestling promotions and companies are getting wise to the internet, so they're going to try their best to throw fans off. And then speaking about the other person that is basically, supposedly, according to the rumor, has returned as a part of the creative process, none other than Vince Russo. That's right, Vince Russo obviously is back with TNA Creative. Now, Vince Russo and several others have denied this, but basically it seems that TNA has reached out to not just Vince Russo, but to several other people that have worked with them in the past to, I guess, consult them on some creative ideas and ideas that they would like to process and make a reality for TNA storylines and wrestlers and knockouts. So apparently the rumor is Vince Russo is back with them, I guess, in some capacity. I'm not really sure. Now, going back to WWE. Now, apparently, a lot of people are wondering why Daniel Bryan is not in the Royal Rumble match. Now, we don't know that just yet. WWE is going to, like I just said with TNA, WWE is doing everything they can to kind of throw us off, just like TNA is. So, we just got to wait and see what happens. But apparently, despite whether or not Daniel Bryan is in the Rumble or not, which I believe he's going to be, because why would you keep your hottest superstar that gets the biggest reaction out of everybody in your locker room, why would you, or on your roster, period, why would you keep him out of the Rumble match? Doesn't make sense. I mean, because don't tell me right now, people in Pittsburgh tomorrow night are not going to be chanting his name during that match. Because they are. But basically, speaking of WWE, there are 5, if not 6 matches, top 5, 6 matches already planned out for WrestleMania 30. Now, we all know, old saying is, plans can change in the next few months. But this is basically the plans. These are basically the top 5, if not top 6 matches planned for WrestleMania 30. And again, like we say, plans can change. But like we said, but again, these are just what's being planned right now. This is what's being rumored as being planned. But again, plans can change. Now, here are the top 5 or top 6. It says, PW Insider reports that the top 5 matches for WrestleMania look like this. Batista, Randy Orton for the WWE World Heavyweight title. Brock Lesnar versus The Undertaker. Bray Wyatt versus John Cena. CM Punk versus Triple H. Daniel Bryan versus Sheamus. Now, it goes on to say, that if the F4W Online report, it goes on to say that, now the article goes on to say that if the F4WOnline.com report from this past Friday, or yesterday we should say, is correct about the Ultimate Warrior versus Ryback taking place, then the top 6 matches at WrestleMania 30 are sure to get people talking. Now, again, these are just speculation. These are just this is just speculation and rumors of what's already being planned out as the top 5, 6 matches at WrestleMania 30. Top 5 or 6 matches. Now, that could all change in the next few weeks, and I believe it will. I believe we're going to get some changes because this is the way I look at it. WWE cannot ignore the fans forever. I mean, I know they're probably trying to send a message that, hey, we're not like Ring of Honor. We're not like Dragon Gate and all that. We're not like, this company or that company. We're WWE. We're a wrestling company that's not just a wrestling company, but we're a wrestling company that's also about entertainment. And also we're a different kind of wrestling company because we want to give you larger-than-life stars that when you see them on the street, even if you're an occasional wrestling fan, you can be like, oh, that's Batista. He works for WWE. Oh, that's Randy Orton. Oh, that's Sheamus. And one could probably understand that that's a good reason for WWE wanting to do these kind of matches or wanting to go in the direction they're going in. But like I said, they cannot ignore the fans forever. And again, like I mentioned earlier, WWE and TNA and I think any other wrestling promotion out there, they're getting wise. They're getting wise, and you can't tell me that when they have production meetings, talent meetings, and all that, that people like Dixie Carter, Vince McMahon, Stephanie McMahon, Triple H, they're not telling the superstars and divas and the wrestlers and the knockouts that, hey, do whatever you can to throw the fans off. Tweet this, tweet that, say this, say that. Throw them off as best you can. And that is what's going on, folks. That is why a lot of people, even I kind of find it hard to believe Daniel Bryan find it hard to believe that they would keep Daniel Bryan out of the Rumble. I find it hard to believe. And I'm sure a lot of people, they look at this card planned for WrestleMania 30. Some matches will be legit and realized, while others, some fans are thinking they got to be trolling us. But anyway, that is basically your WWE and TNA news for today. Now, let me know what you guys think down below. British Fist, Off the Rope Show, Tree of Woe, anybody? Let me know what you guys think down below about these news items for today coming out of both TNA and WWE. Let me know down below. Comment if you like, and I will talk to y'all later. God bless. Take care.